Good afternoon,
Yes, sir.
everybody, and I really thank the esteemed speakers and map system for collaborating with the Society for Information Research and Study. SIRS, which is called Society for Information Research and Study, is a relatively young body and is a non-profit organization spearheading by a group of professionals working differently. SUS provide leadership in areas such as core competency and development through education in niche areas too. Aims and objective of the SUS to educate and empower library information professionals, to develop a strong network, and to develop a strong workforce of the professionals working in the field of library and information science. Main purpose is also to collaborate with other esteemed organizations like we are collaborating with map systems and many other. We have a commitment of support to enhance their own performance in the professional level, whosoever is concerned with us, and provide expertise in information management and development of procedure and skills to steer organization. Our basic mission is to support and promote people who work to achieve their mission, develop competency among knowledge professionals, be the leading voice in the information science, and develop skills and excels in the field. There are two, three things which I want to say about SERS today. That we have just revamped our website, and shortly it will be available, maybe in 2, 3 weeks' time. Number one. So you will have more access to website of the search, and you will have a revamped works which will be interactive too. Number two, we are also bringing an international research journal of the information science, which also will be published in the sixth issue will be published in the second week of August, hopefully. This is a peer journal and refereed journal. So I would also encourage the professionals to send their articles in that journal. With these few words, I thank all the participants who have joined us from all over the globe, and I thank Map Systems for joining us, and I thank both the esteemed speakers, Dr. Dharven Sacha and Dr. Satyanarayana, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much once again, and welcome you all.
Good evening to our distinguished guests, members of the Library Society. At the outset, on behalf of MAP Systems, our knowledge partner, Society for Information Research and Studies, called SIRS, I welcome each and every one of you to present in this virtual meeting. I would like to thank you all for making it convenient to participate in this event. Even though MAP Systems started in a modest way in 1993, has today grown to a full-fledged digital service provider who have built our capabilities in creative services, augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. Map systems venturing into providing digital solutions using artificial intelligence and machine learning technology. We would like to position ourselves as technology partner and knowledge provider to this domain. Measuring service quality in library is the first webinar of this series, and we are planning to host at least one webinar every month to share knowledge and to address the best practices in libraries. Our next webinar will be on 22nd August 2020. That is next month, 22nd. While we are concentrating on today's need, we also keep our focus towards the future and make ourselves ready for this future as well. Please share your thoughts with us and enrich us with your kind advice. We are honored to welcome Mr. K.V. Sachinarayana, Head Information Source Center, Tata Consultancy Services Limited, Hyderabad and Bhubaneswar, and Mr. Dharmendra Sachan, General Manager, Information Technology, Export-Import Bank of India, who has kindly consented to be our resource personnel and speakers for this event. Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, Fellow, Knowledge Management Division, Terry, will be moderating this webinar. I know that no introduction is required for him. I once again thank you all the participants who can make this event successful, and I would like to request Dr. Ganguly to take over this and start the webinar. Thank you very much.
First of all, at the outset, let me thank Prasad Raoji, the CEO of MAP Systems, as well as Dr. M. Siddiqui and his entire team, Society for Information Research and Studies, for inviting me to, moderate this session. Well, I don't know where I am an eligible person to moderate the session because two of my very close friends, they are very bosom friends of mine, Mr. K. Satyanarayana and Dharmen Sachan. Most of them are stalwarts in their area, and I can't dare to moderate their session. But yes, some role I had to play. But what I am basically want to do on this particular thing is, now this service quality in the information sector is a very close. It's very close to my heart. This subject is very close to my heart, and I always love this particular love this kind of a subject area which I am looking at now. uh, there are several quality gurus who are there, and I just want to give you a holistic view to all of you. We have the Edward Demings, we have the Juran, we have the Kauro Ishikawa, the Fagenbaum, the Genishi Taguchi, the Philip Crosby, and the Shigeo Shingo. So what I have learned over the years, there is a very interesting quote I came across from the John Ruskin, that quality is never an accident, but it is an intelligent effort. So some part of intelligence is required when you do a particular quality and all. So this is very, very important. We need to understand that. When we talk about a quality, in fact, when I was going through some of the research papers published by Juran and Fagenbaum and all, I find they also refer to some of the concepts which is given by the Pareto principle, where he talked about the 80-20, the ratio, where 20% is the efforts and the 80% is the result. So secret to success by achieving more with the less. So this is a very, very important area which we need to get into the things. And well, we when we started working towards a quality, it all started with quality 1.0, and then it came down to quality 2.0, and right now I will show you that how people are now going to discuss on quality 4.0, and that is in a global level people are. Now we need to understand what is exactly the service quality is. The one of the big thing is nothing but this Q. Is it the Q for quality? Is it Q for quest for quality? Is it the Q quest for quality services? Is it quest for quality librarian? Or is it the quality which we are talking about today is 4.0? So what is this Q stands for? And probably in today's context, I think all of them means quality today. So Q is a very, very important aspect. When you look at some of the the definition of the quality today, I'm sure many of you must be aware, there is a concept given by Phil Crosby. He said it is conformation to the requirements according to the Phil Crosby. The concept given by Juran as fitness for the purpose. Deming talks about quality synonymous with customer needs and expectations. I'm sure this is a very, very important area. And when you look at the British standard of quality, the quality as the totality of features and characteristics of a product or a service that bear on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. In fact, all of you would be happy to know that TERI, the knowledge management division, is today is a ISO 9000, which is a code for the quality, is a ISO 9000 qualified certified center. Now, let me give you an example of a bicycle. Now, why I am giving an example of a bicycle here, you see, if you look at a bicycle, Dharmen, maybe you will see, if you go to Dharmen's Facebook, Dharmen is a very powerful, cyclist. I mean, entire Bombay, he can take a tour on a cycle itself. So, when you look at a particular bicycle, when you see a very thin, slim bicycle for a normal cyclist, he will look, his perspective is going to be different. He's more into, solidly built, durable, easy to use, cheap, this kind of cycle he will look for. But for a racing cyclist, the entire cyclic concept would be extremely strong, highest durability, it is lightweight and maybe expensive also. So this giving this example, Peter Brophy said, quality for one person is not necessarily quality for another person. So it is a perspective of the user, perspective of the customer who look at the particular product or a service and take up his views on that particular concept. According to Dr. Saranganathan, the quality of a library can be evaluated in terms of whether or not it is able to provide the material sought by users at the time they are needed. So if you look at the first law of library science, I have tried to, look into from a quality perspective. So the first point it says direction for measuring the quality usage of the resources. Documents acquired must be of good quality in terms of their physical conditions as well as the contents. And nowadays, the UX, that is the user's experience, the design, even the library design also, it's taking a very big, it's striving at a very big area. It does not depend only on the content alone, but also its accessibility, availability, physical facilities available. And in today's environment, anytime, anywhere, 24 into 7, the resources which are there. If you look at the second law, he has given a lot of emphasis to the users, where modern libraries have to index all the macro and the micro documents, enabling the user to get his or her information needed. The library should participate in resource sharing processes to make use of the modern forms of information sources like electronic bibliographic and textual databases, online information sources and services, the libraries. So these are some of the important components when we look at the second law as far as the quality is concerned. If you look at the third law, where is every book or information is written, it implies the importance of documents and information available in the library, which are to be used to the maximum optimum level. It directs to identify the material and match the same with the requirement of the users. It doesn't mean that you want to please your publisher. No, you don't want to do that. You will get all those resources which are meant for your users. If your client is X, you will get all the resources which are meant for X. Otherwise, you don't get all those resources. So you have to be very focused and very selective in collection of the resources which you do in that. The law advocates scientific document selection, subject-based organization, advanced and indexing of the macro and micro documents, and effective searching and locating tools, extension services, publicity programs, and marketing of the resources. So these are also important. As far as the fourth law is concerned, save the time of the user. So it indicates the importance of the fast and efficient services to the users by using advanced technologies, methods, techniques, and tools. And today, in that context, a lot of new inbuilt technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, all these things, data visualizations, everything is coming together because you want to save the time of the reader. So, and the fifth and the final law, library is a growing organism. It implies that the library is an institution that contains information, resources, and services and aim to meet the information requirements of the users. And there are different formats out there. And all these different formats are extremely important for the people who are there. So this is where we need to understand. Now, one of the important component, with the paucity of time, I will not explain each and every component. One of the important component as a quality perspective, I look at it as, in fact, some of the things I have implemented when I was with IIM Lucknow is we need to come up with a library scorecard, library service scorecard. Now, when I'm talking about a library service scorecard, the first one is search input cost results. The amount of the resources applied to each service, the amount of the attribute of the services has to be a very important one. Number two, the service output measures, the quantitative, qualitative, the timeliness, the availability, the accessibility. This is a very, very important we need to measure thinking. Second component is service effectiveness. The how much your use resources are used. What is the user's perception? That's a very, very important thing. Users express satisfaction. Users indicated importance. Then the service domain measures like total population size, users population attributes, size of the geographic area. So these are some of the important of the library service scorecard, which needs to be developed in a much more detailed way. Now, why service quality in libraries? Because parent institution has made a commitment to the accountable for customers compete for their loyalty. Service quality is considered as a way to improve their ability to meet their mission. It encourages a service improvement, the services which are provided. I think we need to look at our services, and we will try to look at whenever whatever services we are getting, we should understand that whether that particular service is an effectiveness is out there or not. It is very important in today's context that we should measure the efficacy of the service which we provide in the library to our all the esteemed users. If you do not measure the efficacy, it's of no use bringing out any service, because it is extremely important for all the service provider here to understand how do you measure the service efficacy and all. I'll look into some of the some of the concepts which I've looked into. I will not go very detail into it. If I some of the major theories which are given by the Deming's approach, the Peter Bruff's model, the Jennifer Rowles model, the Metpol's theory, the Parashuram's model, and the Lipkwall model. All these 6 models which I'm going to talk here in just a brief, they all related to the library service quality. In fact, they talked about the quality aspect. I have picked up the relevant portions from there which are in aligned with the library service quality. Like, for example, if I look at the Edward Deming's, we need to understand the library as a system, focusing on the user's requirements and the needs, locating the responsibility and authority for improvement among employee teams, user statistical techniques, and continuously improving the process to improve the outcomes. If you look at the Peter Brophy's model, Peter Brophy has come up with some of the major important areas. He has already given some of the very important areas like performance, features, reliability, conformance, durability, and the currency of the documents. And each and every component, serviceability, aesthetics, assurance, communication, perceived quality, and the variety of the services. And if you look at the Peter Brophy's model, he and I have made a comparison with the library service today. And if you look at it, you will be able to understand why the service quality is an optimum level. It has to be in your organization. That is what is most important in today's context. Another very important researcher, in fact, she has written, in fact, I had an opportunity to interact with Jennifer in the US. So one of the important component is Jennifer Rowles' model of users perception. The Jennifer Rowles model, which talks about, the speed of the service, the convenience, the choice, the lifestyle, the value additions, and a lot of technologies and the quality aspects she has talked about. In fact, all these parameters which you look here, all the 8 parameters, she in her in a couple of our research papers, she has given all these components in very, very in-depth portions. She has talked about in all about this. Another important theory was given by McPaul. McPaul's one of the very important component which McPaul has talked about. In fact, I remember when I was delivering a talk on McPaul's theory of quality of library service in Malaysia. One of the important component which he mentioned in his paper is people comes first. That is the most important. He has given a very important thrust towards the people or the users, and we should be giving a lot of accurate information and reliable information. We are very serious about high level of service. We cannot afford to give any wrong answer to any of the queries. We are accessible and easy to approach. We are doers and we work hard. We want our staff to be happily working for us, because he has also talked about, because if you see, it is not the librarian who is only doing the service. It is the entire team is responsible. So if your entire team of your library is not aligned with you, then you are gone. You have taken your library for a toss. So your entire staff should be in align with you. The client is always right, and everyone must be thinking about how to do his or her better and more effectively. So, in fact, a lot of good competitiveness within the the staff and all who is going to give the maximum answer. It's a very, very important in as far as the make pulse theory is concerned. One of the leading concept which the was given by the three people, Professor A. Parashudam, the Zethamal and the Berries model. I'm sure many of you are aware, which is called as the gap model. When I'm talk about, and this model was given when they talked about the entire the service quality, or they call it as serve qual model. From this service quality model or the serve qual model, the entire leap qual model taken a birth to it. And this leap qual model in today's context is the best thing which has come up. And Association of Research Libraries are doing a unimaginable job for implementing this leap qual model in various organizations. One of the important serve qual medieval technique is tangibility, reliability, the responsiveness, the assurance, and the empathy. These are the 5 major components where the entire serve qual matrix is based on it. There is a close relationship between the user's expectations and the user's perceptions. Expectations are the pre-belief about a product or a service. Now, you have a user when before he is coming to the organization, or before he is coming to your library, he has certain presumption in his mind. He is coming with some pre-belief about a product or a service which you are going to provide. But are you able to provide that service? Are you able to provide that qualitative service to your user? If yes, fine. If not, a gap arises. Now, you cannot do the gap analysis yourself. So they came up with these 5 gap models, where it is called as the Parashudam, Zithamal, and Berries model, where the gap one is the difference between what customer expected and what management perceived from the customers expected. Gap 2 is the difference between the manager's perceptions and of the customer expectation and the translation of those perceptions. Have you understood what query they have raised? Are you able to give them the right answer to them? What is the difference between a service quality specification and the delivery of these specification to the customers? What is the difference between the service delivered and the external communication about the service? What is the difference between the customer service and what they expected? It is nothing but the gap 5 says that it is a cohort of gap 1 to gap 5. All comes together when you talk about the gap side. So it is very important. In fact, there is a huge a kind of a scorecard model was developed based on this. And if people get in touch with me, I can share with them that how that particular model was looked into from a library service point of view. This is a very, very important area which has. So taking a quick jump from service quality, given a birth to it. From service quality, it is the library quality or the leap qual model took a birth. Then 2 things came into the picture today. You have developed a digital library. So you have to look into some of the digital quality of it. So it is called as a digiqual model. You also need to look at some of the, if you have developed a website, you have developed a social media, have you looked at it? So it is a web qual model. And in total, if you take the entire ecosystem of the quality model of the Parashunam, Zithamal, and Berries model, it is called as UQual model or universal quality model. So that is what, in a nutshell, which is called as UQual model and all. This is what basically people are doing today at Quality 4.0. Here in Quality 4.0, if you go to this blog, you will see they are not saying that you get devoid of your traditional quality model. No. But what they are expecting is that you bring in your new technologies, the emerging technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, connected devices, strengthen your operational excellence, bring in big data, blockchain, cloud computing, apps, AR and VR, everything you bring in, and you try to look at how best you can in today's context provide a quality service to your customers. That you need to have. But please remember, because I use this entire thing from my knowledge management quality model, if I look at it, it is more looks like you have the people, you have the process, you have the technology. People means your users. Process, do you have a well-defined process in place? Have you done a kaizen of your process? Means have you done a kind of a minimization, waste minimization of your process? And last but not the least is the technology, the new technology which is coming up in a big way. So according to the LNS research, there are 11 attributes who calculate the quality 4.0. In fact, this is a parameter or a scorecard model they have developed, and where they have talked about that if you want to look at the quality in terms of people, process, and technology, then you need to have the analytics, you need to have the data, you need to have the app development, you need to have a proper connectivity, you need to have a scalability, you need to have a collaboration, and you need to have competency, leadership, culture, compliance, management systems. So these components are very, very important as far as the quality 4.0 is concerned. So there are 11 attributes which LNS research has come up, and they have given a complete parameter of how do you measure this entire quality of your services and all. So with that, I'll end my sessions in just a nutshell, and I'm sure my two of my very close friends, your Dharmen Sachan and Satyanarayana, would be able to, give more insights into those things from the practical purpose. Thank you very much for patient listening. Over to Anand, please.
My sincere gratitude to Dr. Ganguly for inviting me as a speaker for this event, and of course to the organizers, both SARS and Dr. Siddiqui Saab, then CEO of MAP System, Prasad Rao. Good evening to my respected senior professionals and my friend Dharmendra Sachan, my fellow professional colleagues, and of course my friends from my organization. So I think that I have a very difficult task ahead of me, particularly after Dr. Ganguly wonderfully narrated about quality and linking with 5 laws of library science, and also giving a very glimpse of all the models available. I think that since I've been invited here, I think let me try, doing some bit of work. So next 25 minutes, maybe 20 to 25 minutes, I will be talking about a simple definition of service quality, then what are the approaches, various approaches available today, then how they are measured, and particularly with the emphasis on ServQual model, as it is the backbone of many of the service quality measurements today. And also I will talk briefly about how to design customer service journey maps. Okay, so this is what I will be talking. So these are the 4 things I'm going to talk. Okay, so we all know very much about quality, but when it comes to service quality, what is it? We like to measure things, a simple thing like how much time we take to reach to office, and most importantly, we try to measure our weight, every time before and after workouts, our children marks and so on. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to compare, improve, and understand the direction basically. So, however, not everything is very easy to measure, particularly the service quality. But having said that, measuring service quality is very crucial, which influences customer satisfaction. Both the service quality measurement and customer satisfaction have positive correlation between the two. So let us take a simple example. Think that we are going, you are going tonight to a restaurant for dinner. Yeah, not obviously we may not be able to go to a restaurant, because of the pandemic. Maybe after the pandemic is over. So what you are going to do? You don't simply walk into any restaurant. First you talk to your family members for the choices. Maybe you talk to friends for recommendations of a restaurant. Maybe you do a Googling and try to find the best restaurants, Then otherwise, based on your past experience, you take a restaurant and you go there. So when you come out from the restaurant, if you are saying that I had a nice meal, Are you just saying, you had a nice meal just because of the quality of the food served, or is any other factors you look at? So it's obvious, right? We are not just saying because of the food is great and therefore we are saying nice meal. We also look at the waiting time, the menu choice, even the ambience of the restaurant, behavior of the staff, and there are a lot many other things will come into play. Even in the past, have you dined in that restaurant? So can your current statement can be same as the past statement? Most likely not. Why? Because there are a lot other things. Because last time you had a different dish, and today you had another dish. Maybe your perception change, and even the staff change, and maybe you have a favorite, waiter. That person is not available, and also your friend. Though you may say it's a nice meal, your friend may disagree because two individual experience cannot be same when it comes to service. So let us look at a definition which Dr. Ganguly also spoke about, Parasuraman. So this is a simple definition, which talks about the ability of the organization to meet, or exceed the customer expectation. And it's also difference between the, perceived service and the expectation of the service. Okay, this is something very important. Now, if you look at the last restaurant example, it's very clear for all of us. Some of the expectations you are getting, it is because of the reviews you read online, your friends told about this restaurant. So that is where the expectations are coming. It is the same case with the library also. The expectations are set by the way we promote our services. Then the communication, our patrons are talking with their friends, their colleagues. That is the way the expectations are built. So now let us look at the other element, e-service quality. This is something, if you look at for maybe last 2 decades or 3 decades, we are definitely in the world of internet. All services are moved from a physical world to web world, where the services primary interface is either a website or a mobile app. So these are the two simple definitions. Again, Parasuraman came and gave a definition which talks about how efficient you are able to use that website, which includes navigation, the ability to search information, and place a request and fulfillment of that request. We can very much take this part to even the library services. If we look at our library website, if the person is able to look for the information, be it a book or be it a service, and when there is a need for help, they will be able to get the help from there. So these are the things which define about e-service quality. So now all this is fine, but why the libraries has to worry about the service quality, because except maybe public libraries, whether it is an academic library or corporate library, we all have captive users. That means it is basically our college or our university own students, our faculty, maybe in the case of companies, it may be our employees. They most probably they do not have an alternative for their information requirements. So in that case, why we have to worry? So now let us consider a simple thing. I don't want to talk much about the purpose of the library services, but if you look at a very high level statement, if you link with Ranganathan's 5 laws and all that, it is our responsibility to provide the information necessary for all our patrons to discharge their activities very successfully. So if you look at from that perspective, we need to create the visibility of our librarian, and also we need to create the value for our services so that the purpose can be fulfilled. Okay? So therefore, your service quality measurement acts as a compass, where you can able to measure the value of your services. Okay, so let us now look at Dr. Ganguly gave wonderful multiple models which can be people use. If you look at today, I can basically broadly put under three buckets. One is the famous servqual model, which basically also led to our own library related libqual plus model, which is from US, where a lot of academic and research libraries participate every year. Then there is a second set of which is predominantly influenced by the Deming's quality management principles, which is the TQM. One is European Foundation for Quality Management, and other one is Malcolm Bridge National Quality Award of USA. Then there are customer service excellence model, which is predominantly based on the ISO standards from the UK. Most of the public services, they use this model. Then other ISO standards, ISO 9000, 9001, even there is a ISO 10002, which is about the compliant handling. So if we look at these things, then our organization where we play, like our organization also ISO 9001 certified. So part of that, even the Information Resource Center, we do basically assessed whenever the audit happens. So we also participate. In fact, we have a most holistically created quality management principles by incorporating across the world from the standard. Then even now we also use Malcolm Bridge National Quality Award Excellence Model, because in that there are a lot of principles, particularly the results, the output focus is very, very important because it has a scoring system and all that. But what our group did, our group, entire group, they created our own excellence model based on the MBNEA, and we get annually assessed on that. And third one is a servqual. So we also use various aspects of servqual to assess our satisfaction as pursued by our customers. So how people generally do, so the how part is little important. So there are detailed annual surveys. There are post-service rating or follow-up survey. There are customer effort scores. There is social media monitoring. There are service metrics defined. Like I think that gave an elaborate list of metrics which can be used for measuring. So let me give our own examples, because some of these things we do regularly do. One is annual surveys. So there are two types of annual surveys. We look at. One is an annual survey conducted by the organization. For all associates worldwide. So where there are questions even asked about Information Resource Center. It won't be a very detailed thing, but it will be gives definitely the satisfaction levels of the associates with respect to IRC, our Information Resource Center, how we are doing good, Then there are post-service ratings. So this is something we frequently use. Like for example, you come and request for information from us saying that. Satya, now I want to understand how COVID is impacting the manufacturing industry. So what we do, we serve that request. We provide them with their necessary information. In some cases, even the analysis, we send it to them. Immediately after, our system generates a feedback form. Okay, that is a post-service rating, because immediately you do once these case by case, because after every request you send that feedback mechanism. So we gather that feedback, we look at how to improve further. Then there is a follow-up survey. The follow-up survey typically works, you don't do for a case by case, but you deliver a certain set of services, similar kind of services regularly. And from there you conduct a survey. Like we provide a lot of information alert services to associates. So what we do is that periodically, once in 6 months, we trigger a feedback form to all the recipients of those information alerts. So we try to understand things like how frequently you read this alert. Is it every alert, or is it once in a week? And if it is assume that if it is a daily frequency, but if it is a monthly frequency, we put things a little differently, or we are not using. So that is also one thing we get to know how people are able to understand. Then in-app survey, it's basically in the app, you can basically able to display a small survey after a certain number of times the person uses the app. We do have an app. But as of now, we have not activated the survey mechanism, but we have a mobile app which associates can use it for searching books, even accessing e-resources. Everything is available. Before coming to customer effort score, I will talk about social media monitoring, because this is where people talk about our services. Either it can be internal or it can be external social media, but in our case it will be mostly internal social media thing. But we do have a portal which is similar to kind of I don't say Facebook kind of thing, but where people can go and blog, they can share their experience, they can both work related and all those things. So what we also do is that we scan through the content by is people are having any issues about IRC in terms of service delivery, all those things. So that is sort of a social media monitoring. And service metrics, when I come to next slides, I will talk. But the other one is customer effort score. Because if you look at most of our surveys, any organization doing, we try to measure how satisfied with our service, So that is a little easier because, what happens, suppose if a person walks into a library and the person who is attending that patron is, a good guy, smiling, talking politely with the customer, then even though service can be a little delayed, but end of the day, the person can be happy with the overall service. So what one of the, Harvard Business School study said is that, customers, okay, when I use loosely customer, because the customer or patron user in library sense, basically it's same. So one of the Harvard Business School studies said is that customers punish the organizations for a bad service. They may not reward for a good service to the larger extent. There may be little delta or little improvement. So what they said is that instead of asking how satisfied you are with our services, you ask a different question, and how much time it took for you to get the answer from us. That means the effort. How much effort you have put up to reach. Like you can recall, if you are dealing with a mobile company or a bank, sometimes your waiting time is too much. Maybe your requirement is very simple. You want to change a plan and you want to call the call center, but you are waiting for 15 minutes in the call. So that is what this Harvard Business School said, focus on the customer effort. So the serve call, I think that the 5 dimensions, people made it as an acronym so that everybody can remember. It's a little easier so that for us, so rater, reliability, assurance, tangibles, empathy, responsiveness. So reliability is the ability to perform all the time in a dependable and reliable manner. So what we try to do in this front, it's saying that just do it. We are some of the things, even if somebody makes a request for our book purchase, we defined a service level agreement. It is our internal way to measure and ensure that there is a guaranteed service received by our associate, our employee, basically. Okay, we do inform them. This is what we also try to reduce that time, over a period of years. So we, so that means the way we measure is not after all the approvals are done. Even the minute the person sends a request to us saying that could you people buy this particular book for us, from that day to process the book and hand over to the user. So that is the time we measure. And also we have a SLA defined. We track in our balance scorecard, because this is one of the important metric for us. Even for information services, we do, like a response time. Response time is not the answer you are immediately providing, but you are acknowledging the customer. So we had a 15 minutes of acknowledgement for the customer for email they send it to us. Similarly, resolution time, we categorized the information requests based on the difficulty level. Yeah. So we defined 3 levels of resolution times, and we regularly measure them.
जे काय ते हे पाठवणार आहे ते आपल्याला भरून द्यायचं मगच सर्टिफिकेट.
Yeah, can you all mute please? There is a lot of disturbance. Yeah. So the another important thing when we look at the reliability, the number of reopened requests. Okay, so because sometime the reopened request means suppose the person today the same example I spoke a couple of minutes back about the COVID impact on manufacturing sector. Suppose one of our associate handled that request and shared some information. If the person is happy, they don't come back. But if the person is not happy, they come back and again raise the same request. Okay, that is a reopened request. So we measure that because why? That means there is a quality issues from our side where our ability to provide a right information is a little bit lacking there. So that is a number of reopened requests that we measure. So that's why I'm saying that do it every time. So some of the examples you can say the dependability, reliability is like you might have experienced when you send in mail to someone, you get an instant response, but not necessarily the right response. Okay, and similarly there are a lot of mistakes done, and people may be not able to correct it. So what we do is that we try to ensure both the reliability and dependability is always on the higher side. So then assurance, see, this is another important thing, so where this matters, the knowledge of the employees, see the library staff, courteous behavior. So let me give a small example. Suppose you are working in a pharmaceutical library, and your associate or your employee user comes and says that hey guide, we are going to patent a molecule which can cure maybe COVID. So if your answer is immediately when you are going to launch the drug, that means your domain understanding of that subject is lacking, because people in that field should know that even if you go and file a patent, it takes maybe at least 2 to 3 years to get a patent, and also you need to complete clinical trials to get the drug onto the market. So that is something you need to have knowledge. So here what we also do is that regularly we request the business group experts to talk to us and deliver small topics so that we understand. Even the other thing when we do in the information request, like for example, ours is a IT services company and we work a vast variety of domains, be it manufacturing, be it banking and financial services, be it insurance or healthcare. So it is very difficult for all of us to gain a basic understanding of all the domain. So what we do is that we group associates to align with certain domains so that the basic understanding of the industry is reasonably good. Okay, then also we need to instill a kind of a trust and confidence. So that is something one displaying your accreditations or certifications. For example, few years back we received a Special Libraries Association Center of Excellence Award. So when you walk into our information resource center, that is something people see. This is kind of a acknowledgement that we are maybe doing something good. Similarly, our people are have MBA degree. Then there are people with PhD. So by at least mentioning that, people will get a confidence. So that is something we try to do regularly. So here. Then next one is tangibles. Obviously, the appearance of the place matters. The physical facilities, equipment, personnel, and even the communication materials. If you see, if you walk into our place, we ensure that when the morning associate walks in, they will see a nicely shelved, physical IRC. Similarly, in the of course, being in a corporate, there may be a little bit of dress code, but otherwise also people expected to dress in a nice way. Then the equipments are in a working condition so that people do not have issues. And the communication material, that is also very important. See, in fact, maybe we are one of the few IRCs in a corporate world, we do have our own logo actually. Information Resource Center, we have our own logo, which we use in all our communication. So it also brings a little, element of visibility to us, so that people aware about IRC in a positive way, and also we internally brand that very much. So empathy, this is something, just I took, Henry Ford's one quote, if there is one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from his angle as well as your own, So this is what giving individual attention, that's very, very important, and also caring about the people. I know most of you people, seen maybe Munna Bhai MBBS movie. There is one scene where there is a, senior doctor's father. He's quite aged, and he stops eating food and he gets hospital. So that is the case when the hero comes and he plays with caroms with that guy. So you can see then the scenario changes. The person gets up and start he drinks juice and all that. So that is something empathy. Like for example, when this COVID scenario started, the one of the things we did is that obviously when in our organization, when people move from one city to another city, and the IRC has to give clearance. Clearance is something to declare that there are no pending documents with those associates. But now our facilities are not fully operational. So what we did is that as long as the user is sharing those books a little later, not immediately with any of the that person's friends, we are okay. We give the clearances. So that is something looking from a user's angle rather than a rule book. So we had cases where some person not able to return book for 6 months, but as per our procedure we might have deducted money, but when that person came back and told why he was not able to return, if the reason is genuine, we are not strict with the rules, so we are able to refund that and arrange for the refund. So this empathy, it matters. So now we spoke about last one is responsiveness. It is the willingness to help and prompt service all the time and whenever possible, instantly and all that. So I already spoke about these SLAs, response time and resolution time, but let me talk one thing about waiting time, because this is another thing matters to the people. Because I know we all have a limited capacity in the IRC, the number of people who can take up any request. So there will be some request will be in queue. So we always try to reduce that waiting time for the associate or employee, so that they don't have to wait for a longer period. So this is one thing. So we spoke about the rater. So now let us look at how important these are all. So the same Parasuraman and co, they studied, and they came with relative importance for all these things. If you look at the reliability, almost 1/3 of the customer's perception is determined by reliability. And okay, the second one is responsiveness. Third one is assurance and empathy, tangibles. I don't read those numbers, but it is all there for you to see. So therefore, these are all things matters to our users, patrons. So our work, whatever we do, we need to improve on these parameters. So let me just touch base before I close my talk. The last one is designing customer journey. Why I thought it is very important is that I know in this current pandemic, not all the physical libraries are very operational. Some are maybe working, but some are most of the time, most people are working from the homes to deliver library services. So it's suddenly, earlier, you are a physical plus, e-resources, but now your model maybe almost became a e-resources model. So you need to look at what the user needs now. So one of the approach you do is a design thinking approach. That's a different subject, but in that, the couple of things you look at is creating a personas of common users. Okay, this is a small example I gave. So what you are going to try is that assume that you are in a university and you have different set of group of people. So obviously you cannot create a persona for everyone, but you take a sample and you say that there are 4 types of users for us. one is like gave an example. This person visits the library from time to time and like to discuss things with fellow readers, reads latest technology magazines, likes to know about conferences in her field. So these are the requirements for that person from a library perspective. Then create a journey map. So the beauty of the journey map is that you look at what are the touch points for this person in the system, and also what are the pain points, because that is more important. Now let us look at this particular example. This example works very well when you have a physical library set up and e-resources. But today you don't have a physical library set up. For example, in this example, this person got a library card, went to home to download the book, and couldn't get sign into system and able to call the circulation desk. But today, if you look at, your physical services are not operational. So if you are going to move it to your e-resources, so your website, it provides an alternative for the user to connect with you either through an email or and also have you able to guarantee the response in a shorter time frame, or they can reach you on maybe some kind of chat mechanism like MST, Microsoft Teams, at same time. So these are the things. Now it makes a lot of difference. So therefore, the point is, when you design any service or website, you look at who are your common users and how they typically look at, because often what happens is that we may be looking from our own perspective how to navigate a website, but you look at from a user. So you need to bring a few users into your system, do a kind of a interview with them, create a roadmap, identify what are the issues likely they foresee, and provide a point, because the minute when the country went to lockdown, so almost all of us are working from home, and particularly when the colleges do not have a intranet access to enable these services. So one thing happened is that the librarians went and created some kind of profiles, but if you look at your database system, you might not have the latest ethics. Yeah. So this is something we need to look at, foresee. So the customer journey map is one of the important thing. To devise a very positive experience. Particularly, this has a lot of emphasis on improving the customer experience, because today all the people are talking about from the customer satisfaction to the customer experience. This is where even some of the people buy a lot of things. Like if you look at a 5,000 rupees smartphone and maybe a 1 lakh rupees smartphone, more or less provides you basic things, which is your ability to talk to people, take a reasonably good photos, put it on Facebook or Instagram. But if you look at the experience also matters. So that is where how you can use the journey maps to create the experience. So with this, just I conclude saying that we use most of these things in our day-to-day work activity. And particularly, we use a balanced scorecard approach where we look at things on customer, we look at the things on financial parameters, even operational, and even learning. Because one of the things we also do is that we also have an internal target for learning of our own associates. When I say own associates, is the IRC or library staff, because it is very important. Without improving their knowledge and skill level, you cannot serve your customers very effectively. So like the models why I spoke about the approaches is that, because if you look at LibQual Plus, obviously not everyone may be able to afford, but you have to use the underlying principle like the questionnaires available to roll out a survey. But if you understand the approach, you are free to devise your own mechanism to create surveys. If you look at in India, like what Dr. Ganguly said, their library is one of the 9001. Then you have Asiatic Society. Then you have maybe AMU is also another library with ISO certification. And obviously, corporates like us, we also, because our organization enterprise-wide certification, we are there. So with this, I thank you, all for listening patiently.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ganguly, for giving us an opportunity to be part of this webinar. Dr. Siddiqui, Dr. Prasad Rao ji, Dr. Mr. Subhasis Ganguly ji, our colleague Mrs. Satya Projects Roy. Thank you so much. I have listened to two very, very important.
Yes.
So I have seen two very excellent presentations, one by Dr. Ganguly and another by Satya. Both talked about quality, and as I told you, I'll be talking about more on a case study. I think our participants can learn from mapping the exercise, mapping the activities done by our institutions, because our institutions is being a unique institution. So I'll take you through the journey. Is like this. I'll give a brief introduction. I'll touch upon some basic quality on service quality measurement, then my role, what we did, how we changed from transform from library to knowledge centers, and how a librarian can become a chief knowledge officer or the chief technology officer. Today, I would say my every library professional, I think they are the master of everything. They are IT knowledge of experts. They are the knowledge expert. They have a capability to do whatever they want. But as Dr. Ganguly said, there are a lot of things. Quality for one person may not be the quality for others. He also talked about people, process, technology. So indirectly, he touched upon the knowledge management. The beyond the library, he touched upon where we can talk. We can say the quality 4.0 is not only one thing, but yes, it's inclusive of library. It inclusive of knowledge management plus. He also talked about perspective, which is a very, very important. So I'll start my presentation by giving an introduction of our Exim Bank of India. We call India Exim Bank. See, we are a 38-year-old Government of India institution, wholly owned institution. We are the first institution in the last 38 years. You can see in 1982, we are the first institution to become 100% officer-oriented institution. In the bank, why I'm saying this thing? Because you need to relate this thing with the service quality. Because we are the one, we have no clerks, no peons, no support staff in the institution at all, no single person. We are the one, we have no cabin system. We are the fully flat organization. People can come, go, contact anytime, anyone. So we are a very, very flat institution. We are nodal bank of the world, government on behalf of Government of India. We have presence in more than 70 countries. We have 9 offices in India, 8 in abroad, and our staff strength is only 350. 350. If you see, our balance sheet size is 35 USD billion, US dollar billion. So these are some of the things I wanted to tell you, how we are working with a minimum staff and how we are delivering the quality and service. I'll touch upon some basic thing on service quality. These are the few things I want to tell you. Long run overall evaluation of the organization's performance looks at how organizations should perform. These I'm not going to elaborate. How to measure a higher standard of the service delivery. Expectations drive service quality. I've seen from both presentations that this point has come out. Service quality results from a comparison. We always compare, as Satya also said, if post-pandemic, if you are going a restaurant, we have to take recommendation. We have from friends, colleagues, and see not only the food, but due to maybe other regions, we need to understand so many other things. This is the regularity with which service provider can provide efficient service to the customers. It's very simple. So it is very important for every organization to provide adequate service to keep your place on the top and continue doing. See, this I just gave a picture. Everyone has seen this thing. Whenever you go to any maybe mall or maybe any service oriented organization, maybe in the airline or maybe any other place, you have to they also seek feedbacks and you have to accordingly they improve service. Nowadays, if you want to make a even WhatsApp call, you also see after making a call, after making a video call, you see they ask you rate our service. Okay, so these are the just basic example. Okay, now this is how could the library or the information center measures value of its services. So we are especially talking in this seminar on the service quality in the libraries, but service quality is important in every aspect, in every field. Whether it's a library, whether it's IT, or whether it's a banking, as Satya also said. So service quality is very, very important, but with a special reference, we will focus more on the information centers or libraries. So first thing comes the customer feedback. So this is the normal thing. If somebody wants to, or any library want to improve the service, they simply ask each customer for feedback on its service at the time of delivery. Designing a feedback message, it is very important because we have seen getting a lot of surveys, but sometimes surveys are so long that people are not interested in sometimes. So while designing the survey, we need to ensure that it is crisp, short, but still it should provide enough information to understand the level of value delivered. One thing also said, beauty is the eye of beholder. Likewise, the value of knowledge, information is in its users. So it means beauty doesn't exist on its own, but it is created by observers. I think it has already come out from both the presentation. So here our observers are our users. Key accounts of survey. Even in our institution, we have done quite a few surveys. But what are the key things we do in the survey? Because I am not talking too much on the quality standard, but yes, I am just touching upon some of the points. The key 4 accounts are timeline. Again, it has come from both the presenters. The timeline is very, very important. The quality, value, and overall rating. So again, the timelines and the responsiveness, again from Satya's presentation, it has come the responsiveness, how it is important. An interesting point, considering during the design of a survey, the question that is under the direct control of an information professional is timeline, because that is in our control, and that is responsiveness, which we can plan and we can try to quality of response depends. It from the Sansko's presentation, the measure of quality of response depends not just upon the librarian or information specialist skills, knowledge, and tools, but upon the extent of information sources at hand. So it is very, very important that when you are talking about the quality, it is not only one thing. You should understand, you should have adequate resources at your hand. Then only you will be able to answer to your users. Otherwise, you may give the very maybe not correct information, or you may give the half information, or maybe not very, very satisfactory information. Feedback provides insight. Yes, if you do such systematic feedback, and then it will provide insight into the actual value delivered in the words and perspective of the library. The perspective is very, very important, and this is an excellent way of communication to the top management. See, I am working in a corporate world. So how will you communicate to the top management? Once you'll get the right feedback from your customers, your users. Second, once you'll get the right feedback, then you can communicate and send a message to your top management, to your MDs, to the chairman, to the directors. And you can also convince, because today you might have seen a lot of articles coming whether physical libraries will exist in future or whether you need libraries at all. So this will help you. Then you can say how your library is important to business every day, and by this way even you can ask for more budgets, you can buy more resources, even you can do a lot of other activities other than libraries. Customer comments, again we remember customer comments are usually plentifully in performance appraisal also. So if you have customer comments very positive, this will help you, particularly in the corporate world. While communicate, while writing, you can, it will help you to maybe increase your numbers, increase your performance appraisal. So now this, I would say, from here, the India Exim Bank library triggered to a strategic shift, because this is the basic library where everyone has done, every institution does, same way it is done in the Exim Bank. So we started thinking of in the same line, from cost center to value added center, from offering a service to meeting the needs of the customer. Because we librarian professionals need to know, need to learn that we need to change our attitude, we need to change our perspective. So from information provider to be a knowledge provider. So the most basic in the library basically is explicit knowledge, which we have just illustrated in this presentation. It is not something new, because in the library, in the India Exim library or India Exim, we wanted to tell you that how library has transformed from library to knowledge center. It is not just a name knowledge center, but yes, its services, and how knowledge center has gone to next level even. So as other institutions libraries have collections, we have same way. But yes, as we said, how to improve, how to provide quality service is not only providing service until unless you don't have a quality resources in your own library, you will not be able to provide the service. So these are the some of the sources I mentioned, who are the suppliers, who are our partners. So these are just a general. So next, how we have moved from library to knowledge center. So one important thing for the librarians or our professionals, a lot of professionals have already moved and already have changed their mindset and attitude and perspective, because this has already come from the previous presenters. How mindset is important, how attitude you need to change it, and how you should change your perspective while dealing with the library. Why? Because today, in the today's global world, you need not to only see, okay, this is the job. If somebody asks some information, okay, you have helped him. No, because somebody also said that internal resources are more important than external resources. So if you think of to achieve organizational efficiency, you need to work more on your own institution's repository. Data is lying in corners, data lies in files, data lies in various places. I will just explain you how we have done it. We need, because external data may not be helpful for the competitive vendors, but the more internal data will be useful for competitive advantage. This will help you in the to maximize your potential, and of course to manage intellectual capital which is again the part of knowledge management. I will tell you in the next slides how Exim Bank has transformed people's data into explicit form. Now, while moving to the library to knowledge center, what are the important things are there? We, in India Exim, started analyzing the info gap analysis, how to partner with various groups in your institution, partnering with service groups, partnering with even IT group. Why I'm saying with the IT group? Because today I'm in IT, but before that I was in the knowledge center. And being in the knowledge center, what are the things we did, even which were not done by the IT department. So you should never think of that, okay, this is not my job. Because then you will not be able to implement knowledge management in your organization. Because in the knowledge management is not only just to understand, because you need to understand each and every aspect of your institution. So what we did, the important thing is the creation of own knowledge, own institution knowledge. I will give the few knowledge, few hints, few insights. Even being in the knowledge center, in the knowledge center, the librarian created a human resource system for the organization. Being in the knowledge center, a librarian created a fixed asset system for the bank because data is so important. Being in the library, we created various other system. We created visitor database, events database. I'll give the example how these are important actually. See, particularly in the corporate world or in anywhere, maybe in the universities or in the public library or any other institution also, how visitor data will help you. How you should create, how you should classify. Because as I said, librarians are the masters. Librarians are the knowledge holder. They can do anything and everything. So in the visitors data, there are two types of data. One is visitors come to your institution. Visitor goes to, or you go outside to meet some visitor. There are a lot of business talks happens. There are a lot of informal talks happen. So how to codify this thing? How we did it? Because it is very, very difficult task in the knowledge management. It is not so simple. So what we did, because this is important, also I'll tell you how it is important. We have a portal. We informed our users whenever you are meeting. In the receptionist, when the visitor comes to your office, definitely the receptionist enters the data. The person has come from this institution and meeting with this person. But the second point, it is very difficult when somebody is going to meet outside. That time we are not able to know the person went out and whom he met. So in that case, we have created an awareness. We have created a culture, which is again a part of your knowledge management. And one of the knowledge center staff on a weekly basis meets these people, the top management and the middle management or the senior management, and they collate the data in a structured format. Half of the data we get from the receptionist, but half of the data we have to meet the person who has gone out. And this data is useful. Suppose my chairman is meeting a person of Terry, and Dharmen Sachan has already met Dr. Ganguly, P.K. Bhattacharya, or maybe the director of the Terry. Some other person also has met in the past some other people in the Terry. But when my chairman is meeting to the director of Terry, I will give this information to our chairman that, sir, in the past, our three people are already working on these three proposals. Two people have already met this thing, and these are the details. When he will go to the meeting, he will have information in advance about Terry. He will not give the impression that he's meeting the director of Terry first time. So it may not be very fruitful for that reason, but it will give you the image of your institution, the quality of your institution, how they are well prepared. Same thing, events data. Suppose here you are arranging so many webinars, every institution are organizing various seminars, annual lectures, various other programs. But do you have platform to keep your historical data? What are the events you have organized? Who are the people attended this seminar or program? Who are the chief guests of the various programs? So even this will help you when you organize any other program. You simply refer these databases and you can collate and you can refer and you can call maybe some of the people who have already because see this is a change. People retires and somebody has already in the maybe respective department is already gone. Again you have to start from zero. If you have such databases, it will help you. Same thing, I'm giving you very small examples. Training data, again, very important. It has to be automated. You have to continuously sit with the chart program, create some database. When some new training program comes, it will help in the decision making. Even you are recommending to your director, okay, I'm sending this person for this training program. How you will take the decision? It has to have some kind of in black and white, some kind of recommendation with some supported documents. Example. So this kind of program will say, okay, this person has already gone for this program. Okay, but this person has not gone, so we can send. So again, this will help for in the decision making. Same person is not getting repeated program and again, whether it's a domestic program or overseas program. In the knowledge centers, we organize two types of sessions. One is for internal speakers and second is for external speakers on specific areas. Those called knowledge sharing sessions, and this will help us to collate the information in explicit manner and keep it. We have already said that we have done even the during of knowledge center in charge HR automation. Even though while in the we created bank-wide internet, today it has more than 80 applications, all internal automations. Today we have done each and everything. So these are not impossible. Every library has now connected with IT. If they stretch themselves, they can even do. So means you need not to restrict yourself in your four wall of your libraries. You have to have, then quality will automatically come. People will start having more trust. Even example, I'll give very small. Library summer interns. Why library summer interns should work in the libraries only? Why only libraries? In India Exim, we have deputed plenty of many summer interns in operations group. And we have tried collating a lot of data through our the summer interns. And those interns have also learned something new other than library thing, because they're already working under the librarian, are working under the information professionals, but we have deputed in all operations also. So if this is the term of knowledge management, information management and the knowledge management, as well as information and knowledge, are often used interchangeably. What exactly is the difference? So this is the model. Santanu is not chief knowledge officer, and then many Dr. Siddiqui is there, or many more people who are already practicing knowledge management, doing. They all know these kind of things. So this model emphasizes the relationship between explicit knowledge, tacit knowledge, and the current deployment on the infrastructure. Each of these key themes are illustrated, can be explored in finer level of detail, but just for understanding, we are practicing some of these things in our still in the knowledge center. So if you see externally and internally available knowledge, I have already said internally knowledge is very important for your institutions. Please go and tap the knowledge in the organization itself. Since we are the master of classification, master of all JAP, all librarians, all information professional can do this, and they are already doing it. Really, I'm proud of it. Santul also talked about people, process, technology. So again, when we have talked about knowledge center or knowledge management, we are focused more on the knowledge on people side. So explicit knowledge, tacit knowledge, I will give you the some forms. So if you see externally, all these people know already we are dealing in the library. What infrastructure we're dealing, information technology, customer knowledge, top management support, because this is all required while doing knowledge management. But yes, we need to stretch ourselves. We need to do additional effort. In the tacit knowledge, if you see the measurement, again, we are talking about the measurement of total quality, how to measure it, apprenticeship, mentoring, benchmarking, study tools, training. So I think this is nothing but again the quality 4.0 what Dr. Dr. Ganguly has said. Then again, how to tap this tacit knowledge? What we have done? Why only knowledge management team can do? Even a library can do it. Do it in a small manner, but we can do it. We have done face-to-face conversations. As I said, when people are going out, meeting somebody, we are meeting face-to-face. This is the one example I'm telling you. But if somebody is expert on the particular on the project appraisal, we are organizing a seminar, organizing an internal workshop where we are again documenting. We are telling people even how to market it, how to go for marketing of new clients. What are the things you should talk about? We are teaching to our new joinees, managers, because this is a continuous process of learning. It cannot be done. So there are various people. Everybody has his own approach, and we have done it. This thing, telephone conversation, not it, but this is one of the knowledge management function. Yes, if can be done on the Facebook, telephone conversation can be also recorded, can be also, because if today we are in the virtual meeting happening, this is being recorded and we can maybe put in our explicit form, in a report form, we can document it. Individual knowledge, as I said, how we should take out the individual knowledge by way of organizing various workshops internally on a focused manner. These are not very general workshops. We do have called learn from fellow examites. Even today in the COVID time, I'll just give you the example. We have also touch wood, we have not really many people who got corona affected, but we got few people. So we are organizing a webinar on from people who got coronavirus positive, and we wanted to learn from them what has happened, how it looks like, what we should do that even from there, so that people should not get scared. Oh, corona, then people are scared. So we are going to organize. So these are a very focused manner we are doing on a continuously basis. So I'll tell you some of the tacit forms. My fellow knowledge management professionals know all these things very well. We have already said in a different form. These are just a simple presentation in a different form. So what I am trying to tell you that a simple librarian can do, you have to change three things: your attitude, your perspective, your thinking. Basically, you can do it. Nothing is impossible. So these are through email, telephone, kind of mentoring, customer knowledge, visitors meeting, individual knowledge, face-to-face conversation. Everything can be done. This is again in the same form. I said, if you change your attitude, what librarians does, what library professional does, what you need to do, you need to change a little bit more. Your focus should change from this to that. You are doing the same thing, but you should see now what is important. Along with your explicit, your tacit is very, very important, because there are a lot of scientific organizations. Maybe, okay, I forget about Exim Bank, or I forget about the India Exim Bank. Okay, we can learn somehow. But lot of in technical institutions, they have a very technical knowledge, which is difficult to teach them, but in assembly by giving the example, but need to mentor basis how it should be done. So these are the few things. Everybody knows about it. I need not to spend time on this. So I think this is from library to knowledge. And from here, I would tell you that from 2015, from the last 5 years, I'm almost disconnect from our library professionals, but from key professionals are still meeting and interacting. But for the last 5 years, I'm now switched over to information technology. And this is again, I'm telling, because this is people who are from my profession. I am the first librarian and then technology officers. So my fellow librarian, you can reach to any height, but you need to change yourself. So from the last 5 years, I'm handling the technology in the bank. And you can understand how difficult is the bank. Today, during the COVID times, how we have handled, we have 500 servers. We have DR, DC, how we are handling it, how our people are non-stop going from day one. We have not stopped going to office. If we are not going, I think rest of the people cannot work from home. We have been providing, we have done the closing of our accounts from sitting at home without visiting office. So yes, no doubt, from library to knowledge center to IT, whole perspective has changed. The whole, कहते हैं रातों की नींद चली गई है, it has totally gone, and I have spent a lot of time here compared to my previous two positions, and gone multifold work, no doubt. And today, if you see, I was handling a team of 5 people. Today, I'm handling the people of 60 people, because Exim Bank itself is a very lean organization. So we don't have clerical staff and other staff. So thank you very much. Hope you will map what we have done as per your organization. Thank you so much.
I think now both Mr. Satyanarayana and Dharmen Sachan, thank you very much, Satya and Dharmen, for giving an extempore presentation on the service quality and bringing out such interesting areas which you people are doing in your esteemed organizations. I am sure the Tata Consultancy Service and as well as your Exim Bank of India is just, it's, I think it is an asset. I think you people are the asset to this organization after you are serving so much. So thank you very much for once again for sharing your insights from your respective organization. Now I am bombarded with questions.
Not only asset to their organization, Ganguly Sahab, just a minute. Not
Yes, sir.
only asset to their organization, but they are asset to the professional, I mean, library and knowledge man professional
Yes,
also.
yes, Doctor Saab, I think that's
And,
very true.
and
Yeah.
I really thank them for their excellent presentation, and including yours. It was also a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, I have the questions with me. So I would request some of the questions are directly to Satya, and some of the questions are directly to Dharmen. But some of the questions, either of you or either three of us can pitch in the questions and all. So I'll start taking one by one. The first question is, what are some under-researched areas in service quality of digital systems? What are the some under-researched areas in service quality of digital systems? So which are the areas have not been, on the service quality in a digital platform, which are the sections were not touched upon? So probably, not the research was done. So either Dharmen or Satya would like to answer to it. Satya?
Satya, I think I can maybe talk, or you, Santanu.
Yeah. Satya, would you like to answer for it?
Yeah, can you please?
Yes. What are some under-researched areas in service quality of digital systems?
Okay. I think that in the digital systems, if you look at how the user design of the digital systems making a difference to customer experience, particularly from a library aspects, which is a little missing, because there are a lot of studies done using of websites and all that. But when you look at the user experience with respect to the user design, that is something lacking. And if you look at in the general way, the relationship between service quality and customer loyalty, how it translates, Obviously there is a relationship between both the activities, but that is one area, not much done. Yeah, the 2 points I can share Dr. Gamal.
Yeah, so they're taking a cue from Satya, what you mentioned. There is another question which is almost related to that. What I'm sure you would be able to answer on it. Which one model is best to assess the service quality for digital systems? I think it was meant for
Thank you.
me. So I think, see, one of the important things, I don't remember the person who has asked this question, but this is a very important question. See, first and the foremost thing is that you need to understand your organization itself first. You should know your library first, and then only you can implement the right kind of quality management system for your library users. See, you don't need to replicate somebody. You can replicate only the like-minded organization who are like yours. Suppose, for example, a particular organization who is also working on the same kind of service to your organization, you can implement that kind of a model, a quality model which they are following. If you find that has got a best of the best practices, you can send it, you can replicate that. But I think
Yeah.
what it is most important is, in today's digital content, what is most important is you should be knowing your library first, and
Yes.
accordingly then you should come up with your own service quality measure for it. That is a very important thing you need to understand. Does LibQual available free of cost? No, it is not available free of cost. You have to pay a license fee for that, and there is a team of people who generally comes, and they do an assessment of your entire library, and then only they carry out the entire library quality modeling based on certain pricing. And there are certain prices, and these prices are not so low. But yes, in the LibQual model, whatever parameters they have talked about, if yourself can customize those parameters and you can develop your own model, I think you would be able to do that much better than the LibQuals also. So I think, instead of paying a very heavy amount of LibQual models payment, if you are effort to do that, you can do it. But I think you can do a customization, and you can do it for yourself also. So that is what. So LibQual is not free of cost at all. How to use it for the library? Well, that's what once again I'm saying, that for using a LibQual model, you have to know your library first, and then only you can use the LibQual model, and then you can design your own LibQual technique for that itself. So it needs a detailed study. You have to carry out an entire study on that. Does the feedback surveys we collect from the students not fulfill the purpose? Well, Satya, would you like to say something on this?
Yeah, definitely. Because the feedback, one of the issue with the feedback is it's always a named feedback. So there is always a challenge where people may not be, honestly answering the survey forms. See, that is one reason we have something called anonymous feedback. Because, if I know a person A is writing, maybe tomorrow that guy on his back of mind has a concern. Maybe the library team will pick up phone and call me and ask 10 more questions saying that why you rated me low. So the feedback forms are good to some extent, but you need to do, and also the feedback forms are most of the time you do, like for example, at the end of this webinar you have a feedback form, but this is only for this specific purpose. So
Yes.
when you do feedback forms, most of the time you do like that. Of course, you are the feedback, the name itself says for certain activity you are going to take feedback. Generally you don't do a feedback form for the whole year, so therefore you need to get into the other aspects of the service.
Yeah. So Dharmen, would you like to say
No, I
something
think,
related to
yeah, I think,
feedback?
yeah, I think Satya is absolutely right, because see, feedbacks depends actually. Sometimes we have seen in the libraries, because as I have not worked for the academic libraries or large libraries where the large number of users are there, we are handling the corporate world. But however, the feedbacks, it should be overall feedback of the service, not for the benefit.
Yeah. So one of the important component is, I would, as far as the feedback is concerned, there are a couple of points I would like to mention, but taking a cue what Dharmen and Satya I said. See, feedback of any survey which you are of your user survey which you are doing. Please remember your feedback form or your feedback questions should be very specific, and it should be well researched before you are taking the feedback. Number one. Number two, we are always, this is our psychology. We want to hear everything goody goody. We want to hear everything which is talked very best for all of us. But we always try to avoid the negative part of it. Now, that is where basically what I would like to bring in the what is called as sentiment analytics. See, you need to understand the psychology of your user, your customers. Whether your customer is your students, whether your customer is your faculty or your higher management or whosoever is. You should also accept the negative part of it. Because there is a reason, there are two reasons why on that. Number one, the first and the foremost reason is if you get a negative, it gives you a room for improvisation. You can improve upon that. Like for example, when you buy something on an online, you go through the review of that. You take the entire review of that and you see who is written wrong and who is written right. And you generally meticulously go through the wrong part of it. And even these companies, they could have hidden all those, but they write the negative part of it so that you can take a conscious decision whether a particular service is good, bad, or what, basically. So they can bring in the improvisation. That is where the sentiment analytics play a very important role. The second thing is that if you get a good quality negative feedback, then you would be able to provide a right kind of competency modeling, or you can provide a right kind of training to your people who are at the front end providing the service. That's why a good quality feedback is a very, very, good quality feedback surveys means feedbacks where your insights of your user or your psychology of your user is coming out. That is what is most important to understand from the feedbacks. Next question, what are the dimensions or parameters?
Sorry, Sandro. Yes, you absolutely said very rightly that basically the feedback promotes the personal and professional growth actually. Because so you should take it, listen carefully to your and understand the questionnaire, and first listening should be there. If you're not listening, simply you are just answering. When suppose today we are having a webinar and some of them might have not even heard also properly, and they may give feedback, then may not be a correct feedback also.
Yes.
Yeah, to add to what Dr. Ganguly is saying, sometimes even the way you create feedback forms, you only solicit a positive response and no negative response. Now, to give an example, our library say, the library has adequate lighting. So the minute you say adequate lighting, you are trying to, put a condition into the user mind saying that, okay, they are only talking about adequate lighting and not good lighting. So you only get a positive answer. So this is something you also play with your feedback forms.
Yes, that's good. So the next question is, what are the dimensions or parameters to measure the service quality? Well, I think in my presentations, I have already shown, in fact, in other presentations, Satya's presentation also, he had talked about the entire Ratter model. So there are service quality parameters, which is a very elaborative thing. There are different instruments are there where you can outputs, outcomes, you can easily measure on that, and that could give you a best service quality on that. There is a question for Satya. Satya, this question is for you. How do you categorize difficulty levels of queries asked? Can you cite examples? I think
okay. The basic one is something you can directly download. So let me give a very specific example. So a user wanted a IEEE article. Okay, this is very basic, simple download. So there is not much expertise required from the user, library staff, because it's maybe only to do with the access. But there are other databases we give direct access to user. So that we call as very simple. And also in that also there are a couple of other requests we add. So we have a simple request, medium complexity, and high complexity. So when it comes to high complexity, it is basically we are also doing a analysis of the information, not giving the raw data. So let me take the earlier example where I spoke about COVID scenario. So COVID impact on manufacturing industry. So if I look at like that, there are three ways you can serve. Okay, the first and basic thing is that you search different databases or Gartner, IDC, or any other database you have access, and just download 3 reports or 4 reports and email to user. So that is a simple request. See, the next version is, the library associate goes through all those 3 reports and highlights key messages as a maybe a Word document. So there is a bit of analysis done. So that's a medium complexity. The higher part is, okay, I gone through all the 3 reports. Now let me create a PowerPoint presentation where the user can directly use that information without any difficulty. So that's a higher level. So you can basically look at an information value chain from a raw data. I don't call that is their knowledge, but there is a synthesized information. So that is the way we play the request.
Thank you, Satya. I think that's a very good answer to is. So I would like to mention here, in fact, in the similar category, what Satya talked about, that we do a little what we call it as a query analytics. In the query analytics, whenever we receive a query, we have categorized them into 3 major parts. We call it low, medium, and high. When the low is like that, what Satya is talked about, somebody is asking for a book or an article or from the some download from the databases, we provide them from there. So it is a low query. When we call it as a medium category, the medium category where you have to do a bit of research, finding the result, right kind of query from different kinds of databases, and then you get from that query, resolve those articles and then send it out. But the high query what we have is a very critical one, where you have to do a lot of research on a particular area. You have to do you yourself along with your team members. You have to spend a lot of time, where we basically call as a service level assessment, where we spend a lot of time on a maybe a day or a 2 or a 3. We spend in resolving the queries, and that is what we basically call as a higher category. Low, medium, and high. So these are the categories what we do. So somebody asked a question to what is a libqual. So libqual is nothing but it is called as library quality. It is the short form of libqual. So that is what the question is. Well, Satya, Satya, there is a question for you. If a college library is not providing many services and you are not satisfied, then what you should do?
So are they asking me as a user of the library or the librarian of that college?
I think is a librarian for the college. Seems to be. I don't know.
The first thing that I'm going to do is that, sit with I assume that the college library has a committee or the, some head of the department who is responsible. Sit with them and understand, the areas, the pain points of the college with respect to information. So one of the things I can say is that, can I collate a, bibliometrics report of the all college, faculty publication? So that is a value addition. I will bring it to them. This may not be requested by the, faculty or that. That is something I will be able to do it. And second, the another simple example I look at is that, I look at the curriculum of the college and proactively, scan the web and identify, free training programs which are available on the net, which can be both accessible to students and faculty, and create a reading list. So these are the just starting points where the college will see some value that library is bringing. So this is not really required by the committee to decide and all that, because this is something you are going to do. So these are the couple of examples.
Yes. In fact, Satya, you can't stop because you are having a more questions now. There is a question is the journey map available to patrons real-time basis?
Okay, the journey map is not a real-time basis. See, the one thing, whenever you are say creating a service, or you are creating both a website service or a physical service, or like for example, let us take an example of you are conducting an event in your library. So there are certain activities involved. One promoting the event, and like even we take this example of our webinar. So there are certain activities, and we need to approach from the user, not from the organizer. So user should aware, and when user walks into library, there is a help desk available, and they need to guide the person to the event auditorium or with a proper marking. And if they have any doubts, who is going to? So that is the journey you create. Okay, you can pretty much standardize for that journey. Like for example, if you have a library, assume that it is not user friendly for a physical, challenged people. So when you are inviting those kind of people, how you are going to carry them to your auditorium? So these are all becomes a pain point. So you need to look from the user angle, saying that my audience are from the different kind of people. So how I will take care of them. So when you create this journey map, so you can standardize your most of your activities. Look at majority of the users. You cannot do it for 100% because if you look at, you have maybe a senior faculty member walking into your event, you may have a junior member, all that. So, but you identify who are your larger chunk, then design journey for them so that there will be less problematic. Like for example, if we look at this webinar, maybe next webinar when the organization is doing one thing, they may be able to realize that mute all the participants from the initial one and disable them, not able to unmute them except the presenters. So that is a journey, because journey is creating trouble for the rest of the participants, not for the faculty itself. So that is something. It's not dynamic, but it's available. You need to create them.
So, Satya, you can't stop. So there is a couple of more questions for you. What is the difference between SQ and customer satisfaction? That is service quality and customer satisfaction.
See, service quality directly, positively influences the customer satisfaction. Okay, it is not like a inversely proportional. It is not that. If you do not have a proper service quality measurement, in short run, yes, customers are happy. But when they look at elsewhere, because in the libraries it is a little difficult because they don't have a competition, frankly speaking. But when you look at, you go to a outside world, when you see the service quality is not there, the ability to switch over because the customer retention rate, what the big usually talk about. But in the library, what happens is that people to switch, but people switch to other channels. Like the library is not providing the adequate services, they simply switch to online world. They don't come to physical services or leveraging the library. That is what the disadvantage happens. So they are positively correlated.
Next question is, does the acronym RATER help an institution help get the required ISO rating?
Again, Dr. Ganguly.
The word RATER means that the Lipwall model, that RATER.
Okay.
ISO 9000 certification.
Okay, so the subtle difference between the rater and the ISO is that you all aware ISO standards are pretty much about you define your process, you create a procedure manual, then you adhere to that procedure manual, and then the auditors will come and look at that. That is then you get certified under ISO 9001 or any other standards. But definitely you can use radar, but the radar is the only thing is that it is helping you to measure more of the service quality. But if you link the radar with our established guidelines and documents, see, obviously at some point you need to have a documentation, because that is also a way that you can create a uniform experience to customers. It is not just depend on few individuals. So ultimately radar can help you to reach there, but you need to have a different knowledge sets, to understand, because the ISO 9000 requirements are pretty much different. But if you're looking at a customer experience model from UK, that will directly take you to ISO standards.
Yeah, that's a very good answer which you have given. So, Satya, the next question is what somebody is asking. Sir, can you please, that's a very interesting question. Now, in the post-COVID era, with new normal, footfall in libraries may reduce. how this quality assurance help libraries to address the new challenges and also importance of service quality measurement. Well, this question is meant for both Dharmen and Satya, both.
Dharmen, you want to say something before I come to us?
See, with limited knowledge, I will tell that during last 3 months also, we have started. I would say is not full normal, but it's new normal. But yes, definitely the footfall in the libraries will reduce because many organizations have already planned, including even I would give the example of banking, example SBI and all, gone a big way for work from home. So there you may see maybe 30 to 30% people may work on a regular basis from home. So I think we have to design services of libraries in a such a way, the kind of requirements, the kind of user you have to classify. If you have databases, you have to bring in one platform so that it is easily accessible by users sitting home with keeping in mind the security. So I think from my side, I think I would say we need to redesign the system. But I think Satya maybe can give more example because he belongs to
Yes,
a large
yes, I think it's a
organization.
very good point. We have to redesign the system.
Yeah, sure. I think let me give how we are proceeding. Prior to COVID, we always projected ourselves as a hybrid model where there are a set of physical facilities surrounded by e-resources. But when the situation started becoming worse in the entire country, in fact, in our organization, one thing happened. Maybe a couple of days before, when the organization started asking people to work from home, all the people, one thing, the library services were temporarily not made available to the associates. So what we did, the first thing we did is that communicating to our users. So we put a banner on the our OPAC, our portal page in the our intranet portal. We said the physical facilities are temporarily closed. Please leverage all our online resources. Okay. So we started promoting, like we started, then when we started working from home, we periodically now improve or increase the communication we are making to users about the digital resources.
Yes.
Maybe one day we are talking about database A available. Do you know how to use this database? If you have any doubt, please send. In fact, our service mailboxes, okay, people can send mails to our individuals, or there is a service mailboxes. So our service mailboxes are completely attended by our staff. And similarly, people have an option to raise a ticket. So in the our service, which is a request, nothing but a request in our portal. Okay. So we started monitoring all those things. Then we also migrated to some of our services. Like for example, we conducted book talks on our Microsoft Teams. Okay. Earlier we were not doing. That is a movement we did. Then in fact we arranged expert talks. All this happened through Microsoft Teams. Earlier, if I'm doing an event in Hyderabad, my audience are very much within our premises. Within even like in Hyderabad, we have multiple facilities. So if I'm doing in my location where I sit, it's only limited there. But today, when we are doing any of our outreach or expert talks, training programs, anywhere from people across India, they are attending. So that is a movement we slowly made. Similarly, the other thing which I spoke about, customer journey map. So we are also looking at, when people are going to use these online services, what kind of help they require and how we are going to redefine things. Maybe that is something, some of the other people can think about, saying that now these things are not available quickly. Like most of our e-resources are IP enabled. That means as long as you are connected to our intranet, because that's obviously we are corporate people, so that flexibility is there. Maybe in colleges, maybe some institutes like IIT, maybe Terry and all those people have a wonderful intranet which people can access from home, but not all colleges have. So people have to look at how they can move the things to online with a little bit of help from technology, and how you redefine your services. Because if we look at, for us, except circulation, which is a physical transaction of a book, all other services we are continuing and dipped.
Yeah. So, this is a question directly to Dharmen from your dear friend Dr. Bhattacharya.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
do you use IT tools to capture this data?
Yes.
So he wants to know what are those tools basically.
See, actually, I will say more on because we are in the banking setup and
Hello.
using a big systems actually in the core banking support we are using from Infosys Finacle, which is a very large platform, big setup. So how to basically the most of the data is fed in the central system, which is in the Finacle, and we have for to user collate data, fetch data. So we have two types of system. One is we have a business intelligence tool which collate the data from the main systems, and also data which is again further collated in the automated data flow. This is called ADF flow. There's a again because it is in all institutions, because this gives in a prescribed format data where RBI and other regulators require data. But for general user public data, we have a business intelligence tool. But we still, because we are again very small institution, we are working on business analytics in a big level, and we are again trying to capture data from using AI and ML, where we're going to have early warning systems, so that we will get live by in the next 3 to 4 months time. So we have a business intelligence tool currently in the banking sector because this is a large data. But I think we have two colleagues, Siddiqui and Prasad Raoji, who can also add it this thing because they are both are from the IT side.
Yeah. I think Dharmen, this is the last question I am taking. This question is from United Arab Emirates. Somebody, Abhishek Rajput, is asking what kind of AI technology will improve the quality services in a library perspective. So they want to know from you.
Frankly speaking, from the library front, since last 5 years, we have not really used from IT per se. Or I can say one thing, maybe whether it's a library or IT, if you have a website for the library website and you have a large organization and it is open to the public, so maybe you can have a chat box, which is AI enabled chat box, and that I think will save time and give a quality information to the users.
Yeah, so thank you all the esteemed speakers. In fact, we are loaded. I am loaded with the entire with questions and all. Probably individually people can write and we can put together, but some of the questions were repetitive, so I have not picked up. So thank you very much once again, Dharmin and Satya, for for giving your insights into this particular system. And also, in fact, there was quite a good amount of demand from the people that we should organize another webinar which is exclusively on service quality method, or on lip qual method. That is the people have demanded, where all these things are taking into shape, and people have want to know more about this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, more than 300 people participated in this webinar. We would like to thank you very much for your time to attend this webinar. I would like to thank Sirs Dr. Siddiqui and his excellent and experienced team who have kindly agreed to be our knowledge partner. Their guidance and support is immense and invaluable. I would like to express my gratitude and special thanks to Dr. Shantan Ganguly, Fellow Knowledge Management Division, Terry, for moderating this webinar. We all are grateful to them. I would like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to Mr. K.V. Satyanarayan, Head Information Research Center, Tata Consultancy Service, Hyderabad and Bhubaneswar, and Mr. Dharmendra Sachan, General Manager, Information Technology, Export Import Bank of India, for agreeing to be speaker on this forum. We are honored to welcome each and every representative of the esteemed library fraternity virtually who are with us today. We consider it is a great privilege to be associated with you in this endeavor, in partnering with you to provide technology-based solution in order to facilitate instant dissemination of knowledge in various modes to enrich customer experience. Again, I would like to thank you very much for your time and being here with us for our first webinar. We sincerely look forward to get you in our next webinar on 22nd August, same time. We will upload all of these beautiful and informative presentations and today's session in our YouTube channel. We will provide you the link for the same in a couple of days. Thank you